Welcome to Builds with Blocks, a show centered around the micro action figures and brick-based construction sets of the Halo universe. I'm your host, Tom Fishenden, and I'm joined by Colin Perkins.
Hello there.
Who looked very confused there.
I'm like, wait a minute, I'm first.
Matt Salvatore.
Ahoy, ahoy.
Gabe Clem.
Hey guys.
And today we are also joined by a special guest, Joe Ballant, aka Gunnut Productions.
Woohoo! Greetings.
Okay, so during year one of the show, we had a few guests on Builds with Blocks, but we usually paired their appearances with Mega Constructs topics. For our second year of the show, we wanted to premiere a brand new kind of sub-show, Creator Chat, which will allow us to focus more on the individual guests who join us and the content that they are putting out in the community. We're delighted to have Joe joining us for the first iteration of this new series, as he has been a long-time artist, creator and animator within the Mega Constructs community. But before we can talk about Joe's work, let's chat about what we've been up to on the block front. So Gabe, I'm going to start with you this time.
Hey.
What have you been doing?
Since we last recorded, I finished building the Forward Unto Dawn, which is residing right up there. It's blurred out, but it's up on that shelf.
There it
Actually,
is.
Yeah, that whole
I
thing
love it.
is the Forward Unto Dawn.
Did you do the
And,
lighting and all that sort of stuff, or is that still?
I just got lights that I'm gonna put on the
Yes.
on the shelf above just to display it. But out of 2,800 different pieces, not a single one was missing.
That's
Wow.
perfect. So,
That's cool.
how did the pieces come? Did they come?
So the lady that had sold it to me, I guess they got it, wanted to build it, and then gave up because
Yeah.
she opened the bags, but then rebagged them in Ziplocs as they came. So it was basically all the bags were still sorted. They were just all in Ziplocs.
But they weren't numbered at the time, right? So they sorted them for you.
No,
Or you had to sort.
It's literally like they took them from factory bags, put them in Ziploc bags, put them back in the box.
Do you reckon she thought it was a Lego set? Was she expecting those numbered bags?
Her son was a big Halo collector, so I mean, I'm sure she was used to it at this point. But I'm just happy to have it.
That's so cool, man.
I now feel complete. Yeah, I finished the FUD. I've been working on.
What'd you do with the figures? Are the figures in it? Are they displayed?
No, the
separately,
figures are put away in the organized cases.
Yes, makes sense.
But yeah, I've been working on some new Covenant figures from Halo Infinite that I'll be
Cool.
debuting soon. I've got some Spartans from Halo 3.
Wait, is that an exclusive? Is Covenant going to be in Halo Infinite?
Whoa, exclusive.
Okay, well, banished. But, I've got elites and grunts and things, so I'm excited to post those.
There's elites in Infinite.
I thought they were mercenaries.
Yeah. I just started working on my first McFarlane custom.
Oh,
It's my first time working on a 6-inch figure, so it's
Is
coming
that
out pretty
commissioned,
good.
or did you?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
purple and yellow Mark V from Halo Reach.
Cool.
So it's coming out pretty
nice.
good. I'll send some pictures that way we can stick them in.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. Matt, what about you? What have you been up to?
What haven't I been up to?
Apart
did-
from the journey of the lifetime with that edit.
Oh yeah, that was nerve-wracking. But I did pick up. Let's see. I was able to grab one more blind bag, and I haven't opened it, but I'm 95% sure it's the Ultra Elite. So I'm gonna have two of those guys.
So Matt, there's numbers on those bags, right?
I haven't even looked at the bag.
Okay. You just grabbed it.
Someone bought it for me, and they left it in my room, so I haven't even looked at it yet.
Oh.
But they're
What a
pretty
nice
sure that it
gift.
is. I know.
I need
right?
to improve the
What's
people
her
I'm
name?
living with.
Yeah.
I've also really been getting into Lord of the Rings Legos, so I've been hunting on eBay and Amazon to finish out the collection because I had collected them earlier before, but I never got all of them.
Yeah.
So as of last night, I have rounded out and I've finished collecting the Fellowship. So I have the 9 companions in Lego. So I'm very
That's
happy
cool.
about that.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Like that.
And
Wicked.
hopefully I'll have some stop motions coming that are a little more. I have a couple that are Lord of the Rings centric, but I'll probably have a couple more headed out. Actually, just to let you know, I've already made them, but I'm waiting to release them. So that's
how
what I've
hard
been
was
doing.
it to find all of them? Because like I get the same like compulsion, right? Like you get 1 or 2 figures, like maybe I'll just get all of the figure, like the core figures. Was it hard to track those down, or expensive to track those down?
It is expensive to track them down because they, most of the 9 all come in separate sets. Yeah. And it's very rare that if you get sets like the Mines of Moria set, you get a fair few of them. But you have to pick up. Obviously, there's different variants. There's different Gandalf the White, Gandalf the Gray, different stuff like that. But for the most part, I'd say it was actually it's pretty difficult because I feel like I started late with collecting Lord of the Rings Legos. So I feel when I started, they had already been discontinued.
Yeah.
So I grabbed a lot of them off Amazon, and that's when they were still kind of reasonable. And now, if you go on Amazon, they're outrageous. But so now I'm filling in the back of it on eBay, and so that's where I'm kind of at. But I wouldn't say it's too hard. But I mean, I think
they're out there. It's just pricey.
Who am I missing?
More expensive than you'd like.
Yeah.
I'm missing Theoden, and I'm missing. And a couple, and actually a fair few of the dwarves from The Hobbit.
Yeah, they spread those out probably a lot.
Yeah, so that's
like the Knights of Ren, one in every set.
Yeah, sometimes you get 2, even though they all look the same.
Yeah. And then, Bossman, what about you? What have you been doing? Matt, did you actually finish that, or did I just cut you
I'm good, man. I'm good. No, we're good.
Well, so last time I talked about my son getting that Bowser Super Mario Lego set, and he finally built it, and it's pretty cool. So it's got the Bowser figure, and if you've seen them, there's not the minifigures, right? You have to build up the figures. So you got the big Bowser, and then like he's standing on a bridge in front of like a big statue of Bowser, and his like arm. You have to like pop his arms up, and then there's a little a little scanner underneath it to get like a star or something like that. Anyway, he finally built that, but then he also he does distance learning right now, and he has his little iPad, and he has like a blog as a part of that where he can just post videos, and I'm not quite sure if his friends or classmates can see it or not. I think they can, but he did a series of 6 videos where he was like explaining how it all works. And he would like walk Mario into it, like seriously, like a little YouTube star. And I'm not pushing that obviously, but like he did his only thing. And I don't know what he's been watching really. I think it's just kind of he probably maybe caught 1 or 2 videos at some point.
He's been watching you, Colin.
Like that. Well, I don't think so. Yeah, but anyway, so it's got a little humor into it because it's got like the Boo character, and he'll like say, "Now I'm gonna show you Boo," and he's like, "Where is Boo?" And he'll kind of like make a little sound and make the little Boo sound off in the background, and then he'll pop him up, and then so it's pretty cool. Kind of a little proud dad moment, right? Watching that stuff because normally he's really reserved, and he doesn't know that I've seen them. I've seen them through the school app. He hasn't actually offered them up to me yet, but I have watched them.
Well,
he's still outside the door right now, like what?
Yeah, that was
I will
private.
Be so that's been fun to watch him do that. Let's see here. Oh, I've finally been piecing together that lot that Bovie and I split. So got a fair amount of sets that we can either pass on or keep. So working on that. Oh, I did get. So they have Mega did the new Hot Wheels. So I did grab this one. I thought this one looked pretty good. This is called the GT Hunter. And I really like the scale. It's like much bigger than Hot Wheels, like the little cars. And then it has the little figure guy, like his little tiny driver. He's kind of about the same size as a grunt, an OG grunt. I can show you here the size comparison to a Marine. So you guys can get a little bit of a scale. I don't know if you can see that with the background popping in and out. But anyway, so he fits inside and he can drive around and whatnot. So it was a cool little build. I think it was 100 and some pieces to put this whole thing together. And I'm happy with it. Hopefully the line does well. They got monster trucks too, which I'll probably pick up at some point as well. A couple other things. I did. We've talked about Shop Goodwill as a place to like find random stuff. So I did spot, and I won the bid, probably a little bit too much than I wanted to spend, but on a Swords of St. Helios set, the character set.
Oh, nice. Cool.
And I thought it was a new in box because it showed like the box, and it showed like how that has the little window with like the one figure there. And I didn't read the full description just because it's whatever. I just assumed, I guess. But anyway, when it came, like the box was all rattly. I'm like, oh no, what happened, right? And so I opened it. It was like taped shut. I opened it, dumped everything out, and there was like one random like original articulation figure, and like everything else was like all in pieces. But the guy was still in the window. So I'm like, crap. And there was no blocks. So I was like, so what actually is going on here? But I was able to put everything together. So I actually have all 4 of the figures that come with it, like complete, except for the little cap on the methane tank for the grunt. So I'm sure I can replace that easily enough. So all the figures are there, but the blocks to like the little environment is gone. And then I got like the weapons aren't there. So
interesting.
I guess I should have read closer.
There wasn't much goodwill in that order.
Well, I mean, what I really cared about was the figures, to be honest. So as long as I have another, sort of St. Helios set, that's really all I wanted. So nice. I'm more or less happy, but it would have been nice to have the complete set.
Those Swords St. Helios sets just flew in and flew out. They were.
That's why I had to jump on it.
I really wasn't.
They were in and out.
I wasn't that big a fan of those. Because in-game, Swords of St. Helios are, they're red, and then you get them, and I open the box, and they're bright orange.
They're more.
And I was like, who?
Orange. Yeah.
It's weird because they're supposed to be like, they're kind of like, I guess you could say like blood orange red kind of thing.
Like a rust almost.
As opposed to Banished, where they're like blood red.
Right.
Right.
That's a good point. They have the little print on the shoulder, which is cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, I got 2 of those finally now. Cool. And I'm all done with my Swords of St. Helios collecting. And then other than that, I've just been continuing down my Transformers rabbit hole, and my credit card has been very spicy in January, so I need to cut myself off soon.
Joe, what about you? What's been going on with you recently? Obviously, we'll talk about you as a whole in a little bit, but have there been any highlights recently?
Aside from, like, when it comes to, like, mega sets that I've gotten, like, the last thing I ended up getting in stores before lockdown kind of started kicking into effect again was the set that you recently did a review on, the Mercenary Pack.
Nice.
Oh, that's right, because you're in Canada, so there you go.
Lucky
you actually can find those.
So I got like the one with the red the red Ultra, which was pretty great, and also get a chance to get my hands on the new Jackals, which are pretty good. I mean, their feet are a little like, I don't know, they're very hoofish, I guess you could say, as opposed to like how they were previously. Like, I like the fact that they can actually, like, they're not just like, they're not as squat as they used to be.
Yeah.
So now they can actually kind of stand up straight.
Yeah.
They're slender, which I like. Like they're skinny. It's just cool.
I also shockingly I bought this online, but it came in. I thought it was going to come in Friday when you guys reached out to me, and then it came in on, or no, it was. I thought it was supposed to come in on Monday, but came in on Friday. So I ended up getting my hands on this Tarbosaurus, and I'm working on turning it into an Anjanath from Monster Hunter.
I love it.
So it's got like
a
replaceable nose that I'm working on.
Oh my god, Joe. This is the best show we've recorded. Hands down. To anyone else who's been a guest, I'm sorry, but you don't compare now.
Aww.
That's cool.
Cool.
So that's just part of
awesome.
the latest Jurassic line, that one?
I think the Tarbosaurus was like a 1 or 2 back, but the most recent stuff from like the Camp Cretaceous, I haven't seen the show, but the ones, like the new ones are like the little Ankylosaurus, and then the scarred bull Carnosaur.
Toro. Yeah, Toro and Bumpy.
There we go.
And if anyone wants to check out an advanced non-spoiler review of Season 2, JurassicPodcast.com.
Nice.
Very nice.
Cheeky plug.
They're called shameless.
It was gonna happen.
Yeah. Thank you for setting that up so eloquently, Joe. It's almost as if we planned it.
This will be like my second attempt at doing a Jurassic Park or doing a dinosaur custom, because I have the Ark
yes.
Survival Evolved trike that I did a while back.
That's cool.
Is the base
So
for
it's
that
actually-
the Roarivore trike?
Yep, but I
Nice.
re-sculpted the mouth so it can actually open and close.
That's awesome.
Oh, cool.
Oh, dude. You're like a step above Mattel already now. Oh my god. Guys,
Although
I
I had
can't
to,
talk about Halo now. We're done.
Although I had to break the mechanism inside
Yeah.
to do the, what do you call it, the rutting.
I'm gonna ask you about that during the show. You break your toys, and it kind of stresses me out.
If there's one thing I found, like when watching a behind the scenes for Robot Chicken, how they do like their animation and whatnot,
Yeah.
they had like this like story about this woman who gave him like this Dukes of Hazzard car and action figures, and this like old woman is like, we just want to give these boys a good home, and it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, dear, for what we're gonna do to them. Because that's, you kind of have to go when you're doing like animation and whatnot, go in and give them a new skeleton.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
True.
Makes sense. Cool.
No, cool.
So
Tom, you gonna
that's
talk
what
about yourself?
I've been doing.
Yeah, you
No more
set me
Jurassic.
up
You've used your allotted
beautifully
time.
to say, well, I mean, obviously, I've been very busy with Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous content recently, which has been fun but stressful because we just lost a 3-hour recording. Always great.
Oh, no!
Yeah, but beyond that, I obviously, as you mentioned, Joe, I got the mercenary combat unit, and I got
Nice.
2 of that one. I actually decided to import 2 so I could have 2 of the Jackal, 2 of the Banished Fortification, 2 of the Plasma Turret. I'm not too fussed about the Brute or the Ultra personally, but they're still nice figures to have.
I
sort of
kind of like
multiples of.
the Brute in that one a little bit more than the one that I've gotten like 3 of the
Yeah.
the Chief and Brute warrior set, and it's sort of like it's the Atriox body with a minor helmet.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Kind of cool if you painted it blue, you could get like the chieftain from the Babysitter, but
Yeah.
aside from that, like they've just been kind of like parts. But I really like the look of the Brute. It's not a captain, and it's not a
warrior?
minor. Yeah, like the Brute warrior. The look
Yeah.
of that helmet, I kind of like.
It's kind of like samurai-esque, which is quite cool. And I like how
Yeah.
it's got like the patchwork shoulder there, and then it's got one thigh guard. Interestingly, I thought that they had switched them so they were alternate on this one and the Ghost, but it's the exact same figure across both of them. And check out the review for more details on that. Another plug, I'm on fire tonight.
Someone stop them.
Yeah, but yeah, I
It's
got
got
those.
some better coloring than the one that comes with the two Reach Spartans, the yellow and black one.
Yeah,
That one has just like a silver look to it all, but it's kind of bare.
yeah, no, I get that. I kind of want that pack for the Grey Spartans, though. They look
They're so nice, dude.
nice.
Oh,
You'll
yes.
love
That's
them.
the one that comes with that awesome Covenant crate, right?
Yeah.
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 The crate that we all raved about.
Everyone's
yeah.
like the figures, and I'm like, but that crate, though, you know.
Although I
But,
still think like the best banished Brute is probably the one, the 2-pack that came with the Halo Wars 2 one.
Is that the one that comes with a bunch of weapons and armor mods, and then crates? Are you talking
Yes.
about the 2-pack?
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
I thought he would. Oh, he is a little yellow. For some reason, I thought orange. That's a different one. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's a good set.
Yeah.
The armor was always kind of a little loose on the Brutes for me.
I'm
though.
lost.
That's kinda...
I have no idea what we're talking about. The yellow and blue? What?
It's like the Forgeous armor from Halo Wars
Yeah,
2.
It came out alongside the Spartan 3 armor pack.
Yeah, it came with
Oh.
like on one side you had the one that had I think it was like the first time they did the Mark 6 armor.
Yeah.
Along with the other 2 sets, but then they did like a one with 2 banished brutes on it that had instead of like having the red decals, they had blue and yellow decals, but they were the Halo Wars 2 banished brutes.
I gotcha now.
I was getting ready to queue up a photo there, just in case. It's just for a long time there, Gabe, you were just sat like...
I was just about to send you the photo.
I pulled the Tom on him.
You did. That's going to get screenshotted later. So beyond that as well, I got my hands on the damage control Cyclops, because we spoke about Cyclops a bit in the Halo Wars episode. Colin, you sold me on that version.
Gen 1 or the Gen 2 version?
Gen 1. It's
Yeah.
got the
nice.
firefighter marine.
Oh, see, Joe likes those. Look at that.
Yeah.
Well,
He probably likes to break
they're
'em.
good. They're exosuits for it. They're exosuits. They do what they need to do. I wouldn't. They're kind of dreadnought-ish, so
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a fun piece, and I like how it, like Colin, you said when you sold me on it, it's kind of the one that makes the most sense out of all of them.
Yeah.
And then lastly, I wanted to touch on something I got before Christmas that I forgot to mention on our last episode, but it's actually very, very special to me, which is the Alien Agency DNA Lab set.
Yeah,
from
right.
the factory.
Yes.
I got an absolute steal on it. I paid £35, which for a set that huge is just
How old is that set, too? That's
mad.
like, what, 10, 15 years
It
old?
came out
At least.
2002. I can actually show
Whoa.
you
2002?
because I prepared for this. We have got some little bits of Mega Bloks history here, so you can
Oh,
so you can see
There we
it
go.
came with a little comic book back
Oh,
in
look
the
at that.
day.
wow.
And it's got like a whole story. It features all of the sets in it.
I love that.
whoa.
And yeah, you can see here at 2003 Mega Bloks Inc. printed. And then we have got, that used to come in all of the sets, the original Mega Bloks mail to buy catalogue,
Oh, cool.
which has a little bit on the back that you can fill in to write to Mega Bloks and order sets back in the day. So this has got...
man.
Can we do that now? Like, I want to mail in. Get me some sets.
Seriously.
So this is like all the old Dragon Age sets.
Oh my
there's
god, the dragon
The old
sets.
Pro Builder stuff.
Now-
You should
There's
take some pictures of
Command
that.
Ops
so
in
we
there.
way
can put that
before
in.
Halo.
Now this set that you just got, this the set, was that in box factory sealed, or did you get it?
It was
used?
in box, factory sealed, and it came in the original shipping box from Mega Bloks as well.
Wow.
Holy
Yeah.
cow, the thing's just been... That's a little time capsule.
Yep,
Yeah.
I
Just been
lost
kicking
my
back.
mind a little bit.
I love it, man.
Those are the treasures that make collecting.
Yeah,
so
especially
yeah.
you can find it
Really.
for a good price,
Yeah.
right? Like, you can
Yeah.
find it for
Yeah,
30
I mean,
bucks.
the thing is they've got another one as well for the same price, and I'm like, I could just buy that and keep it in box for another 10 years. So
You could. You could do that.
I'm debating it.
Oh,
But
you'll
yeah.
open it, Tom.
yeah. So yeah, I guess that's kind of everything in terms of what we've been up to. I'm so enamored with this set now that I've completely lost the plot. But yeah, Joe, we're gonna go into your background now. So I guess to start with, obviously, because we are predominantly a Halo show, although we love all things Mega Constructs, what's your history with Halo?
Well, I kind of, when it started, I didn't really have, well, I think I had like an NES, or my grandparents had an NES for the longest time growing up, but we only had like the two games of the Mario and Duck Hunt. But
That's it? Oh, that's
yeah,
amazing.
or like I didn't, it wasn't until we got like, I can't remember what Christmas it was, but we got like the original Xbox. But the games that came with it were, the game we ended up getting for it was Star Wars Starfighter.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
And then basically that, like, it was through like the original Xbox, then I'd start like, actually renting games from getting.
Is it Blockbuster up there? What do you got up there?
Yes, like the old days of Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Actually getting like different games. Like seriously, I didn't own. Well, we owned like a whole bunch of games, but like a lot of like my play history was like game rentals and whatnot. It's like that's how in the day you could rent a game for like a week and then basically like this was years before achievements, so like that was sort of like
Right.
your save game progress was like your achievement score of like I played all of these games.
Right.
So
It's like the old school equivalent of Games Pass.
yeah.
Games Pass passed.
I mean, I wasn't paying for it, so kind of yeah.
That was savage.
So anyway, you know, through doing that and playing the first shooter I think I actually really played on there, aside from like the various Star Wars games, were this game called Brute Force, and then one day at a friend's birthday party or something, I ended up playing Halo 1, and we were playing Versus, and I was sort of, I remember vividly, like, the first time ever getting to drive the Warthog, I'm like, wait, why can't I fire the gun in the driver's seat?
Oh. Yes.
I have to get out and go back and shoot it. And so, like, I remember playing the first Halo game a lot, but it was like with Halo 2, it was like, oh wow, this is actually kind of really interesting with this, like, this Arbiter character and his journey.
Mm-hmm.
So you liked the Arbiter right away?
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed playing it. Chief stuff was like interesting, but there was not really. He didn't really have a lot kind of going with him aside from like at the end when he leaves Cortana behind, and it's like, oh, now he's starting to have like something that he's fighting for, as opposed to just, oh, I'm fighting for humanity.
Mm-hmm.
But Arbiter is sort of like, his whole thing is like, at first he's like trying to redeem himself, then he's also got his rivalry with Tartarus.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. So then I didn't quite understand when Halo 2 had its big sir, finishing this fight.
Oh,
I mean, I didn't quite understand that. Wait, so there's not any more? I thought I didn't understand that games could have cliffhangers like that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, most games are usually like finished.
Right.
And I didn't have I never had Xbox Live during the original Xbox's life cycle. So like the most multiplayer I played was like, you know, doing like system link parties with my cousin and my brother.
Yeah.
And we'd be playing stuff like Halo 2 for sure, and also Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Oh, nice.
Solid choice. Yeah.
But getting the Xbox 360, that was sort of like the first time I ever played multiplayer online with Halo 3. Halo 3 was the reason I got an Xbox 360.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Sure.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. So you got a rich history, it sounds like. That's awesome.
Yeah, that kind of like very outside. Like, I wasn't sort of like one of the people on the inside, or not on the inside, but people. I sure as hell wasn't like one of the people doing like the lineup at midnight launch parties.
Yeah.
But you played them
No,
upon
I get
release, it sounds like. Like when they came out, you were playing Halo, which is cool.
That for the longest time, I still kind of is. Like, Xbox is the Halo box. I mean, at first it was sort of like, okay, I need. One, I like to play this a lot, and two, I kind of need this for like projects or whatever.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
Back when I was like, thought I was gonna do like machinima stuff as opposed to what I ended up doing.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
No, that's cool. It's interesting hearing about that, because obviously we'll touch on it later, but I think a lot of the machinima kind of approaches that you would have with working with those tools kind of transition into what you do now quite nicely as well. So,
Oh yeah, if there's anything I can kind of like imply, or not in part, is any kind of like skills that you learn can be kind of applied to like other things. Like, I never did like Flash animation or whatnot, but I do stuff like in Windows Movie Maker or the Apple equivalent of iMovie back in the day, and a lot of those skills have kind of moved on to like what I'm working with now with like Premiere, After Effects, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because like each kind of builds off each other.
So, would you say you have a favourite Halo game? Obviously, you said you like the Arbiter, so I'm wondering if you're leaning in that direction.
I really do like a lot of the choices that are made in Halo 2, but I gotta say, like, my favorite games in the series has to be that little, like, there's like narrative, and then there's gameplay wise. Like, the games I like narratively are ODST and Halo 2 for like the
Cool.
choices that they do with story.
Yes.
Hell, I'd say like a lot of my stuff kind of started because I really liked what ODST did, and gameplay wise, I really like some of the stuff they do in Reach. I really liked what they did in 4, even though
Yes,
like
sir.
I always say 4 is kind of like Reach 2.0 with like how it applies its gameplay choices. Like, you know, instead of having a sprint power up, now you can sprint anytime, but a
Yeah.
lot of the power ups are the same.
Right.
But I
Jetpack.
also kind of really like what 5 did with like basically make it kind of took a lot of elements from both Advanced Warfare and this other game that I tried a while back called Section 8, where it has this. It was like a very budget title that came out. It was very Battlefield, sort of
Yeah.
Halo-ish. But like some of the stuff they introduced in Section 8 ended up in Halo 5, like the sprinting into a charge or shoulder bashing, as well as a little bit of sort of like a lot of this, like maybe not meter management, but sort of like that idea of like your armor is also the weapon.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. That sounds like a game I need to check out.
Yeah,
I don't know if it still works, but
Yeah. So from a narrative standpoint, it sounds like you're a Joe Staten fan. So you must be happy that he's on the Infinite Squad now, huh?
I hope so. I mean, there's a lot of things that I kind of like. I like some of the choices. I like some choices that were made in Halo 5, but I also still think that me and Halo Canon can agree that Brian Reed really has problems with like. He basically is like, this needs to happen. Characters will do something wildly out of character to do it.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
There's no realistic
Like hell,
way
I
to
even
get them
think
there.
some choices like in the campaign, like I was mentioning this with Nakai Halo Canon, or not Halo Canon, Covenant Canon.
Yeah.
On Twitter, I was thinking like, you know, that whole bit with once Blue Team gets off Meridian, if you didn't have the Genesis level after that, and you kept on playing as Osiris through Sanghelios, and then had the stuff in Genesis happen, sort of like, you know, the 10 hours prior or something like that, it wouldn't feel like one big, just like halting the plot forward as right as you're going through that stuff on Genesis. And then going into Sanghelios. Like, I think a lot of people hate the Sanghelios levels because it stops the story dead for 4 levels.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started on the levels as like the
walk around,
the talking around the camp and stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, your key thing that you're really into, and I think you're well known for in the community, is your animation. So when did you first get into animating? How did you discover that?
Strangely enough, it kind of came out of a high school project that I had to do. I think like in my high school film class, it was sort of like one of the assignments was to do like a stop motion project. So they would basically ask you to like do stop motion the hard way, where you have to take a lot of pictures and then go into your video editing software and edit those pictures down to each like a second or so. And I got, or my dad introduced me to this program called iStop Motion that just basically, like, with a press of a button, it just takes the picture and then you can easily, like, have immediate playback with, again, just another press of the button and see if it was working out, as well as having what they call onion skinning, where you get to see, like, a shadow of what the previous picture was. So when you're moving the object.
That's really useful.
Plus, I think the version I was using was like the demo version, so it was like, aside from like a big ugly watermark, it's easy to play around with.
Nice.
And I think the program now is like, I think you pay either, I don't know if the program's like $30 or $40 or something at the moment.
That's not awful, to be fair.
Yeah.
So you kind of started with that side of it then, obviously using it on your phone and developing that. Where
Oh
did
no,
Mega...
I didn't. I
Go
didn't
on.
use my phone.
Oh,
I didn't.
okay.
I didn't have a phone that could do that. Although it does have actually the program Bonks, I think, or the studio Bonks, who makes the software, has a phone version, as well as I think Mega made a version. So
Yeah.
So what was the process back then? So you took a picture with a camera of some sort, right? Not a phone.
well,
That's where I was
the
mistaken.
beauty of it. The beauty of it is that you could basically like hook up a webcam to your computer
Oh,
and then
okay.
use that.
Gotcha. Okay.
I did that.
So I was using like this old ass DV camera that was able to have like a manual focus and manual zoom. Because like if I tried using something like an HD camcorder, it would do like autofocusing, and I couldn't. I'm sure that like if I looked at it, I could find a program that could have done like the way that my webcam setup is now. I have a program that allows me to control like focus, zoom, as well
Filters
as
and
like
stuff.
as well as exposure and like
Cool.
brightness and all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
Because otherwise, like every time you're moving your hand in front of the thing, it's like immediately auto explode
Yeah.
it or
Yeah.
which makes everything look a little flickery when you're doing it.
Yep, I'm aware.
I can tell, as a side, I can tell you have a good camera. Like, you look crisp and clean in this call, better than the rest of us. So, you.
Well, it's just a Logitech HD camera or
Oh, okay.
HD webcam.
Okay, nice.
I've
Do
written
you-
that down on my podcast evolved expenses.
Yeah.
So you still use a webcam, or do you use a different kind of camera for your stop motion?
Oh, I use the webcam these days. I know I should upgrade to using a DSLR, but I've just been... Well, one, I need to get my hands on one, and two, I know I also should upgrade to Dragon Frame eventually and figure out how to work
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah,
it's
I have
just
the
been
I have
a
that
little
software. I
expensive.
haven't been able to figure it out. The Dragon Frame. I'm kind of more primitive on my animation editing, but yeah, I do have
What's
Dragon
funny
Frame.
is I have
I've played
the
around with
remote.
Yeah,
Oh, right.
yeah.
I
cool.
have the Dragon Frame remote.
It's intense.
so-
It's intense. I've played around with it for a little bit. It's just, I think for what I'm trying to do, it's just a little too sophisticated. But one day I want to get there.
Yeah.
It's all in like how many pictures you take.
Yeah.
I kind of weirdly, when doing animating, I kind of look at it as like I'm playing with my figures in slow motion.
Yeah.
That's
So it's
interesting.
kind of, I mean, it's stressful as all hell, but also kind of therapeutic in a way. Like doing
I totally feel you on that. Yeah, it is. It is this kind of just. It's not a. It is therapeutic, but it's just like there's beauty in just the stillness of it. It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of like doing like the slow motion, like
Yeah.
Right.
Ave Maria's playing in the background.
Oh yeah, I'm like blasting for like a couple of animations I've been doing. I was like listening to live Rammstein concerts and
Oh,
whatnot.
yeah. Nice.
I do podcasts.
Sounds like me when I'm building a set. I like sit with music on and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get through this thing.
Yeah.
So, where did Mega Constructs, or obviously then Mega Bloks, begin to factor into all of this? When did you start collecting?
Well, funny enough, when at the Scarborough Town Center, there used to be this little like a Games Workshop, like this little thing in the mall,
Yes.
a little Games Workshop, and I'd do like a lot of. I was trying to do like little animations with 40K figures.
Yeah.
Granted, like as limited you can do with a 40K figure. I can't remember. I think it was like when Halo Reach was coming out,
Yeah.
or maybe it was like already out. I think like it was when they debuted Reach Firefight. I just sort of had the idea of maybe I can do something with this. But then I also found at Toys R Us the original drop pod sets,
Nice.
like
Cool.
the
Such good
blue,
sets.
the red, and the green drop pods. And I'm like,
geez.
oh wow,
Yeah.
these are amazing. They look like mini action figures. I could totally do something with this, because it was like Firefight kind of came out of an original animation I did with the McFarlane figures called Spartan versus Elite, and I was thinking like doing a sort of a pseudo sequel to it, where it's like instead of just like one Spartan versus one Elite, it's one Spartan versus like, or not one Spartan, but like a group of 4 guys taking on like waves of Covenant forces.
Yeah.
So you were doing animation and already at that point, right? By the time you found Halo, and you were trying to tinker. So you were trying to do the 40K stuff to animate that, or just to have fun with that?
It's funny when I was doing like, I think I've said that like 3 times. It's funny because when I started out, I was doing like, I was pumping out like an episode a day, or not a day, an episode a week or something.
Okay.
Of the little 40K animations.
Gotcha.
And the stories kind of got more and more extravagant. There were a lot more figures involved. But then I did like a mini little thing of just like, what if I did like these 2 or this Elite and this Spartan fighting off against each other.
Mm-hmm.
And basically kind of going from like or like tiny little figures to 6-inch figures, but then kind of went backwards. And when I found the drop pods, I'm just thinking, I could probably do more with these.
Gotcha. Very cool. So, and this is all on YouTube, right? You're publishing on YouTube?
Oh yeah, up on Gun Nuts Films, or the channel name is Movie Hunter 1888.
Okay, cool.
But I go under Gun Nut Films, or Gun Nuts Films, Gun Nut Productions, and or GN Films.
Where did that come from? Where did the Gun Nut stuff come from?
I think like it was just sort of like a random off the cuff idea of like, I like shooters, I like simulated violence, and I kind of like sci-fi assault rifles. So it sort of like came out of like, at first it was like Gun Nuts Productions, and then some of my earlier stuff quite literally had like a guy going, "Get off my property," and then just flare up a minigun.
Nice.
It's like old Cartoon Network.
So we don't do that here in the UK.
So some kind of like just silly kind of stuff. And it's sort of like, as much as like I am, as much as like the character or the idea of like, I use a lot of gun violence and whatnot, guns actually kind of scare the crap out of me. Like, there's like,
yeah,
there's like the huge responsibility of like, this thing can end a person,
Right. Yeah.
That, which I have shot like a 22 before for cadets, but like that's about as far as I've ever done yet. But so it kind of started from an old Halo fan film or fan fiction I did, of like these 3 characters. The thing was called like Commando Squad and the Elite Uprising, and it was supposed to sort of be like these 3 and then 6 characters that were sort of like tangentially kind of like following Chief and the Arbiter throughout the events of Halo 3.
Oh, that's cool.
While also having like their own revelations about like, when the elites were being cast out during the Great Schism and whatnot, which that was a lot where the story kind of went, and the human characters were sort of like, I think they ended up like maybe getting captured at one point, and then they kind of were in High Charity as it was going to hell. But it's like this really, like, it was an old Halo 3 machinima.
So obviously there already a little bit, Joe, you touched on how you were doing Warhammer 40k animations first and then moved into the Mega Bloks stuff. What is it that's really kept you coming back to those figures? Because I know a good example is Colin's background. Even when it comes to things like Warframe, you still go ahead and make figures based on that body, which is really cool.
Oh, Colin's background. I got okay. I'm like, what
Me
the?
and Joe, we go way back.
I'm like, oh, Colin, you animated back in the day. All right.
All I can say is the figures kept getting better, and like the Call of Duty figures are just really cool.
Yeah.
And I've found like a few places like Brick Arms and Brick Warrior that have like little they do like custom figure parts.
Yeah.
So like Brick Arms, you can get like all kinds of different kind of guns for Brick Warrior. That's where you get your melee stuff. So like if you need swords, pikes, shields. Although like I've still got that little figure there as he
Oh,
was
there he is,
afterwards.
There he is. Love it.
And the sword I ended up getting off of Brick
Yes.
Warrior. So
That's
So
so
cool.
cool. So, talking about kind of animation restrictions, then obviously those being the ones with Lego, are there any that you've discovered with Mega over the years? Like, I can imagine those original figures, maybe the shoulder ball joints being a little bit difficult to pose at times.
there's like 2 or 3 things that kind of bug me when I'm animating, because like if I do like custom paint work, anything like on the elbows is going to start flaking. One of the things that bugs the crap out of me whenever I'm like looking at some earlier stuff from like Double Edge or whatever is like I can see the teal under sleeve of the Spartan that I used for Jay's figure. It just keeps flaking off as it goes on, and it just. But I know I should probably be using like sealant and whatnot, but like if I use too much sealant,
got
then
a couple tips
then it
for
gets
that.
really shiny. Nail polish?
No, you disassemble the entire arm, take out the wrist socket, disassemble the bicep from the forearm, and you shave down the elbow so that there's clearance, and then when you paint, they don't touch at all. There's no scrape.
I should do that some more.
But also,
Okay,
also,
dropping some knowledge.
also sealants do help. That just preserves the paint work, but to keep it from actually making contact, you just shave it down so that there's enough clearance that they don't touch.
Snap.
Yeah, but other stuff like as I think we talked about this earlier, but as much as you don't really like the old Cyclops, but I kind of like, but
Yeah.
the new, I really
I like
like
it.
the idea of the new Cyclops. The problem is those legs. The legs are super.
Yeah. They
Like
fall apart.
if you ever watch, I think there's like a behind the scenes somewhere for when the Mega did like the, it wasn't Battle of the Brick, but the Halo Wars one, or the Halo Wars stop motion ads they did.
Yes.
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Like they pretty much had to like install a wireframe for like the Mantis, or not the Mantis,
Cyclops?
the no, the Locust, so the
Yeah.
Locust
Oh.
could actually like
Mm.
hold the pose when they're like kicking the Warthog aside.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
They basically had to like install a wireframe underneath the legs.
I spent
Yeah.
so much time watching those videos. One day,
Yeah.
hoping that one day I'd be like them. Yeah,
Oh, those were amazing.
they were. They.
Do we know who
they're-
did those?
Videos.
Was that in-house
I
job?
wi-
Do we
I
know
don't
who
know
did
who did
those?
them.
I think it was in house. They got Kubas to do Battle of New Mombasa Part 1 and Part 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was the only time I can think of when they got somebody external involved. I think everything like Assault on Squad 45 and all of that kind of stuff
Yes,
was all done
that's it.
internal.
Those
That'd be cool to
those
find out.
those original videos had their own unique charm that I just don't think
Yeah.
that the later ones
Yeah.
have captured. It's just, maybe it's
Well,
something about the Phase 1
later
figures,
one,
but
I don't think they've done like the last animation I saw them do was the Atriox Cutter
Yeah.
remake of
Yeah.
the Halo Wars 2 ad.
the
Yeah,
last
that's been
one
They did
3 or 4 years.
no, they did one
they
with
did-
like Cat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she
there's
like
been-
storms the
there's been a
Phantom
couple
or
more.
a Covenant
So that's
carrier.
Veil.
Oh, is it Veil?
That's
It's
Veil,
Veil.
with the spirit, yeah.
Veil,
So
okay,
they
yep.
did 2 Heroes ones, which were Buck and Veil.
Okay, Veil.
And
yeah,
then
not
they have done one animation since there, which was one of their Build Beyond ones with the Halo 3 Arctic Warthog. And it's basically Chief getting dropped off from a frigate onto a snowy planet, going and trying to assassinate the Prophet of Truth. And it was just like...
Also, I
2
think he was like
brute
rescuing
bodyguards.
rescuing some like red and blue
Yeah.
Spartans from
Yep.
Snowbound or something.
Yeah, like the actual figures from the set he was going in to rescue. So there's been a couple of cool bits, but they
The
don't do as
motion
many
is-
of them as they used to.
The motion is so fluid in those ones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
You're like,
those guys
crisp.
are pros.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crisp.
So, obviously, we've talked a little bit about kind of how you go about animating the animations. There we go. What else would you be animating? But I'm interested. So, obviously, a lot of your pieces are very much story driven as well. So, what kind of process goes into coming up with the stories for your stop motions? How do you do that? How do you kind of get a storyline that you then work with?
it's kind of like a weird process where, like, on some cases, it's like I kind of take a very I like to do like what how like classic Freddie Wong or Corridor Digital used to do it in the day, where it's like, hey, we want to do this kind of effect, or we want to do this kind of like setup, like there when like glitches in real life, or what was it? I think it wasn't Tiny Guns, but basically like the old days with those guys, where they sort of like, do we want to do an effect, or do we want to do like an action scene, and let's try to do that. Like, on occasion, it'll be sort of like, do I have a story I want to tell? Like, Warframe Regeneration was sort of like this weird, kind of like fever dream idea, where it was like, I wanted to try to make something, that, and obviously, I was playing a lot of Warframe at the time, so I kind of felt like expressing myself that way, as well as trying to kind of imitate stuff like what Moonshine Animation does, where he's got like this kind of like mixed universe of like his original characters, as well as like known characters. Like, I'm taking this emotional kind of feeling I'm having towards, because I had been going through like a lot of family stuff and whatnot. Like, I know it was 2016 and it's been quite a while since, but like my grandfather passed away then, and moving out of the house and all that kind of stuff. So that was very like emotional, and I was just basically like thinking, this is going to be sort of like my most raw emotional kind of like thing I was doing. So like, having this character, quite literally, I compared it basically like if I took the regeneration scene from Hellraiser, the brutal murder of Alex Murphy from RoboCop, and then like the revenge story of John Wick, and kind of like that was my mood board for the thing, as well as like trying to get like the visual style of the music video for Marilyn Manson's "The Beautiful People."
Yep.
What a banger!
I can see it all in that video.
And then combine it with I was listening to a lot of Tool and Rammstein at the time, so I was like thinking, maybe I can find it's not orchestral, but a Tool song without the lyrics.
Sure, just that style of music.
Yeah.
So do you do like storyboard? Do you storyboard everything out, or you just kind of go just make it happen?
Like my story, like my animation process is sort of like a weird kind of mix of it's ironically a double-edged sword, where on the one hand it basically is something that I kind of came up with like to limit my compulsive spending on getting set. So like doing my animation is sort of like a way to basically say like, okay, you cannot buy that set unless you do something with it.
I like that. So talk about the storyboard process then.
Oh, well, on occasion it'll be like something as simple as like, these are early ass storyboard.
You gotta pull it
Come
back.
on.
Probably, yeah.
Come on.
You can send us some pictures.
Yeah, send some
maybe.
pictures. We'll
These
put
are
them in.
I sent in like a whole bunch of stuff.
I've got
although
a folder
these
of
are
stuff
like
to work with.
these are like old ass storyboards for Double Edge, but they're like
Cool.
really kind of chicken scratchy. But they're basically sort of like something for me to get like the idea down. Whereas other stuff I'll have like I think I sent the ones for like regeneration, which those were basically kind of like I'd spend time at coffee shops just listening to music and just like kind of like closing my eyes and trying to figure out what the image I wanted to have come forth at the time.
That's cool.
Because like I'm thinking, do I want to? At the time, I think I was like thinking, do I want to do something with like something royalty free, or did I want to actually use the song, or did I want to use this song? But like the feeling I kind of wanted to get while doing it. But then other stuff, like I found more and more just kind of animating off the hip is getting really difficult to do. So
do you try to sorry, just back to your the sound. Do you try to like match the sound? And I've never tried this, so I don't know how that works. Like the high points on the music, like align that with the animation. Like, how does that come about?
Depends, really. I try to get it so like certain scenes can line up, but other times it really is just sort of like it's found in the edit. I'll try to roughly figure out like, okay, I want this to go here, but then other times like while editing it, I'm like, okay, maybe I can just cut this whole thing entirely and go from there.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
But anyway, like I said, these days I can't really like having an idea off the top of my head is nice, but like I want to kind of plan that thing out before I start doing it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'll get to points where I'm like, okay, the camera's like quite literally like lagging behind the character, or I found actually there's a great documentary and or essay online about like if you watch the action scenes in Fury Road, if you put an X in the middle of the screen, there every shot basically like you can kind of that's how you follow what's going on, because like everything is either like slightly off to the side or but everything is still very in center, so your eye line is always kind of like focused in the middle, so you're not like constantly kind of like looking side to side to figure out what somebody's doing.
Right.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting.
A little bit of
so you do the storyboard, and then you figure out like, okay, now what do I need to make this happen, right? And then there's the creation process of your figures, and then the environment and all that sort of stuff, right? Like the storyboard, how much time does that take in comparison to like that creation process?
It depends, because like when it comes down to, sometimes the idea comes when I'm going through the store and I'm thinking, oh, now that'd be cool to work with.
Yeah.
And then other times it's like, okay, how am I going to try to build this thing? Like, what kind of parts am I going to need? You know, as you've seen with like the Jurassic Park stuff, I'll get like these random inklings to try to like, maybe I'll see what that can do or whatnot. But other times I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to need to get my hands on like these materials to build this figure. I've actually been trying to stretch my legs and go beyond like doing stuff with the mega figures and being able to like have like, you know, bigger stuff interacting with them or whatever. Like I do like
dinosaurs.
Yep. Oh yeah. I do want to do part 2 to Regeneration and then have him save her. Not to spoil too much, but like when I was working on my Doom project, I made a Cacodemon as well as a custom Mancubus. Yes. And I actually still have the mold for the Mancubus skin that I worked with. Although the problem is, since that was like one big, I wanted to do something like, you know, the scene in Kingsman where it's like a one take, where
the church.
Yep,
the church.
Yeah.
Colin first.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like my idea of like it basically like from Go, the Doomslayer is going through hell, killing things along the way, but the camera never really cuts until
that sounds really cool.
Up until like one scene where I'm like, oh crap, I can't figure out where I left off, so I'm gonna have to do a cut here.
So I want to hear about the art style. Like, your art style is very unique, and I feel like that's one thing that draws people to you. So, and I can already tell based off our conversation, a lot of those influences, like, look at that background, look at that jean jacket, like that thing, you know. So we listen to Rammstein. So talk about your art style and like your influences.
I kind of call my art style is there's no such thing as mistakes. There's just happy little accidents. Like, at first I'm sort of like looking at my art style and I'm like thinking, oh, this looks like crap compared to like stuff like what G Customs does. Like, seriously, dude, looking at your stuff
stop.
Looking at what I was doing back then for like Firefight, and I'm like, oh my god. You ever see that meme of thin your paints?
Yeah. Yes.
With the Warhammer figure characters going, ah!
Yeah. No,
I swear to God.
The Firefight videos, I used to watch, because you made those, what, like 9 or 10 years ago? Like a long time ago.
9.
I thought I had it written down. I started
Because
I think 2010.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's right around Reach
11
came out.
years ago,
Yeah.
because that's when I started. I would watch YouTube, but those were some of the first ever like Halo Mega Constructs, Mega Blocks at the time. So those were some of the first videos I'd ever seen of custom figures. So then as I got
that's
into
also
it,
that's also kind of a little bit of an element of like what goes into what I want to do for a project and whatnot. Is has somebody done this before?
yeah. But yeah, I mean, you the videos you did for Firefight with the whole squad and all the customs like the Ultra Elite and the concussion rifle, those were my early inspiration to start making this stuff.
Wow.
Seriously,
Yeah, no,
it still
I used to
blows
watch
my
those
mind
all
when
the
I have
time
people
before
say
school.
that to me.
Same.
Just to have that when I have people say like, "Oh wow," like I used to watch, like you said, watch this before I went to school.
Yeah.
I just have that that Matt Damon slowly growing old from Saving Private Ryan. What's funny is I still have the actual minifigures.
Oh my God,
right
there they are!
No.
Oh, you'll have
cool.
to send us a picture, or if you have already, we'll have to put a picture
Oh my
in there.
god.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
So I still have like the original figure, and of course the first ODST I ever got.
Wow.
Wow.
That's so cool. What? So
But,
yeah,
like,
whatever happens to like all of your? Do you keep all of the like customs and like figure work that you do for an animation? Do you keep all of them, or do
depends
you
on
repurpose them?
what. Like I have an entire Nerf ammunition
Oh, there
box
you
of
go.
like all of my all of the minifigures that I've gotten over the years.
Nice.
In here. Although it's like getting to the point where I don't think I can really put any more in here. But
Please
I also
don't
have
drop this joke.
Yeah, don't
Please
drop it. Don't
it.
drop it.
All over the keyboard.
I got my desk right here, so
Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
oh,
I love
whoa.
it.
Teaming. You've disappeared. There you go.
okay.
I
So
love
I've got
seeing.
all like I think a lot of these are before they started doing the new articulated figures.
Yeah.
So like I think like the first articulated set I got actually was at RTX. I think that was when I did Standoff, the ODST figure or the New Mombasa Police Department video with the Brute Chieftain. And I actually got that set from the Mega Bloks display that was there. Like they had the Mantis there,
Yeah.
Right.
so that I had that set. I'll repurpose like a few things, but like I've still got the original figures for. Well, I think I've repurposed some parts from Jay Spartan to make his newest iteration.
Oh, okay.
Because he's been like asking me if are we gonna do a sequel, and it's like when I get back into Halo, certainly.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not quite feeling it.
Yeah.
No, I get that. So while we're on the topic of custom figures, I did want to ask, because obviously you go with quite unique designs for yours, which I think are really cool and make them stand out compared to others. Do you have any form of like pre-conceptualization with that? Do you like sketch them out before you do them, or do you just see where it takes you while you're developing them?
These days, I do try to like gather as much reference material as I can when I'm making them. I have gotten some molding equipment, but I haven't really used them like for like making like. I wish I knew how to like do like 3D printing stuff. There are far more experienced people than I on that subject, but like when it comes down to like coming up with certain character designs, like I just kind of look to the games or I will do some SketchUps of like ideas. Granted, a lot of it is sort of like I'll do like preliminary SketchUps and ask like, does this need more, or does this what could this add? Sure.
Yeah.
I should do sort of like maybe not the D&D thing where you sort of like look at this character and you think who is this character, what does he want, and how is he going to get it, kind of thing, when you're designing like I know I have like a custom cog character that I'm trying to figure out, basically to make him more than just say like Clay Carmine OC, you know?
Yeah.
Which I admit is still kind of a little bit of my weak point, because like the most fleshed out characters I've had been like quite literally when I came up with J Spartan and Recon. Those are actually based on two friends of mine, Jim and Reno. So I quite literally did something featuring their characters, and then had a Swords of St. Helios Elite assisting them, sort of coming out of the idea of what like Spartan Ops and Headhunters was doing.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
Okay. So, when it comes to creating those figures, and Gabe, this is something I imagine you'll be quite interested in as well.
Yeah.
What kind of tools do you tend to use for yours? I'm interested to see if there's any.
Yeah, we'll see how we
parallels
compare.
here, 'cause I know you touched on green stuff earlier, and I hear a lot of people raving about that. So I'm interested to see what else goes into creating your figures.
It's good stuff. Just the problem is it's expensive to get.
Yeah.
Right? But I've been basically working with epoxy clay.
Yeah.
Oh my god, the white.
So like epoxy sculpt, gotcha.
Yeah, epoxy clay, epoxy sculpt. I don't know what the difference is between the two. I mean, I did try using Mighty Putty for a while, and it's like it's
Mighty
okay for some reason. You know, I think it was advertised by Billy Mays.
Oh, I've never even heard of that.
Same kind of idea of like a hardening epoxy clay,
Yeah.
but a lot of meticulous like sculpting, especially. I don't know why I really like working on like the micro scale. I think there's just like something charming about the tiny details in it. Because like there's a certain kind of glee I get when I look at somebody making like a tiny like D&D set or something like that, and just looking at like the environment they have set up for it. It's like, oh my god, look at this little like goblin village or something.
Well, you feel like from a collector's standpoint, it's like it's more manageable if it's that small, right?
Oh yeah.
So if like one of the reasons I've been drawn to the Mega is, you know, I like the McFarlane figures, but they're too big for me based off like how much display space I have, and if I do want to do some elaborate display, like that all of a sudden takes up the giant space, whereas in Mega it's manageable.
That, and sometimes the articulation ain't great.
Sure. Yeah.
Like seriously, if the like NECA Gears of War figures weren't so like chunky, and like some have like the weirdest articulation where like the Grenadier can't, like you can move his legs, but he doesn't really have knee joints. He just kind of has like they're like weird ball joints on his knees as opposed to actual like hinges. So like you can't actually get him to like hunker down behind cover, which I understand. Those guys usually go running shotguns first, but still
You don't need knees.
I guess that's another reason why I kind of like using the Mega figures is like, one, nobody's ever done something like making like, I know they've done I don't know what brand did the Gears of War stuff, but like I know that Mega hasn't done it, so like I want to see what
Meccano, or it's called Erector in the US, which I have to try.
The
so
Erector
hard not
sets.
to laugh
Erector
at.
sets.
Yeah.
I do want to get my hands on like that King Raven and the Centaur tank, because those look pretty good.
They did look cool when they were out. So I did want to take the chance to actually open up the floor quickly and just ask if anyone else would like to take the chance to ask a question, because I feel like we've been drilling through the list.
Actually,
so
I do
ahead,
have
Gabe.
something. What's the hardest animation that you've done?
Hardest animation that I've done. Well, the longer a project goes on, it certainly gets bigger and bigger. Hardest project I've ever done. Well, right now I say it would be like the current project, my Doom project, which has been unfortunately kind of on hold for the last like 2 to 3 months.
No, right.
I originally naively wanted to get it done by the time Doom Eternal came out, and then thought, okay, maybe I can get it out before the first
DLC.
Yes.
Yeah.
But no, that didn't work, because like I've got quite literally like a massive set. That's probably like the biggest set that I've built of Hell itself. I sent you a couple of pictures of it in production and whatnot. Again, it's like twice as big as the environment I had for Regeneration. Although Regeneration was pretty difficult just because it's interior, so I had to do like a lot of like, especially in some like the dark rooms and whatnot, having to figure out like, okay, I need to animate in this like tiny section, as well as like that was before I started doing animating on clay as opposed to like animating on the stud bricks.
All right.
Yeah.
Which is, it's interesting because like at first I would do like stuff with sticky tack, which is very noticeable. Although I've found these days if I go into color correction, I can make it so like blue. I can remove like any blue in the picture. So
Oh wow, I bet that's helpful.
you know, yeah. I mean, I did that a lot for Regeneration, for like a lot of the stuff in the forest. I was able to remove the blue in that. So
nice.
like that was all like there was so much like sticky tack around the forest floor by the time that was done. But like I don't think you could really see it. But so like hardest project, I think that would have to be like the interior shots for that was a real pain.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I really wanted to do like the scene with his arm regenerating, and the way I wanted to do it was sort of like have it sort of like coming out inch by inch, slow, very much like I think they use like reverse photography or something. Reverse photography, and also basically the equivalent of like what they did in Indiana Jones, where they had the guy's head melt off.
Oh yeah.
But instead of it coming back on for the scene where Frank is coming back, as you say.
Right.
But when doing that like on this like tiny set, as well as having him sitting in the chair, I had to work around a lot to pull that shot off, and then basically just kind of had his arm encased in this like gestation sack as opposed to having it like actually kind of coming regenerating bit by bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that was tricky, and I tried using it's not, maybe it is a Revoltech, the Revoltech T-Rex that they had, or that they did a while back for Jurassic Park, but the Revoltech joints are, since they like click, or they're a little difficult to hold a pose, as well as having her walking around on the stud floor. Like I quite literally attached tiny studs to her to the base of her foot so that she could actually like plant down onto the studs.
I mean, it works.
I'm hurting right now. Her Rex has been defiled.
Well, she basically has new legs. Replaced her knees and everything.
Don't worry, Rexy, it's not going to happen to you up there. I promise.
Oh, believe me, I would love to try to work with like those bigger ones. Like this is more just kind of for show at the moment, as opposed to actually doing some animation stuff. Which is why like his jaw mechanism is still in there.
Nice.
But like if I was actually to do like real animation, I might try molding the legs as opposed to because like I have been called a toy murderer at least once or twice in comments. There was like this little animation I did with like the Peppo raptor and Pachyrhinosaurus, and I did like a little animation on my desk during like, it was like one of the like final years in high school or something, and it was like some downtime, and I was trying to animate it on the desk while things were happening in the background. And somebody kind of was like, because when you're doing, where you did basically be like sawing the leg in half and then sawing here, and it's not, you can't really get rid of that direct, obvious cut,
Yeah.
as opposed to like if you had like if you had like a silicone mold of the thing,
Right.
so that you could just wire the skeleton inside, like what they do for like Robot Chicken and whatnot. Because like I know, if you ever look up their video on like constructing the couch gag for The Simpsons, that's how they did like a lot of the using the Simpsons figures for that animation.
I was going to say, one of the most interesting things I think with your style of animation, and hopefully I'm right on this, because I was watching them back and I was 50-50. I was like, they could be card printouts that are really smartly filmed, or it's green screen. I think it's green screen, because I'm sure I've seen some behind the scenes from you before.
Yeah, I did a lot of green screen stuff back in the day.
That's
For,
what I
like,
want to hear.
Out of convenience, really.
Okay.
Like, for Double Edge, I did a lot of stuff on the multiplayer. It's not called Impact, but the one with the big green crystals on it that was in, like, one of the DLC maps. I was, like, thinking, oh, this would be a really neat idea to have, like, this, kind of, like, out of nowhere location for an animation. But, like, I'm looking back at some of the stuff I've done green screen then, and I'm just like, oh, God, I could have done that so much better now. Like, I only used a single layer when I did the green screen, so that's why they're so like, transparent at some points, because you need to do, like, 2-layer, or you need to have, like, 1 layer on top and then 1 layer on bottom so that they come out a little bit better, as opposed to, like, on top where they're fading in and out a little. But I think I did that on blue screen because of the Green Spartans, so...
That was one of my questions. Perfect. I was going to ask you how that worked with obviously green-coloured Spartans involved. So it's interesting, because for me, I've got... This here is a green screen, guys. Viewers, I'm not really on the Infinity. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to break
The
it.
prophecy!
The magic.
But yeah, you can see... It's not going to do it again, but there is a green screen there, I swear. And I've been toying with the idea of doing toy photography with it, but I don't know how I feel about it. So I was interested to kind of ask you, how did that process work for you? Did you like have part of the environment constructed, and was that then in the background, or was it more dependent on it? How did you go about that?
It depends. Like, I sent you I was doing this little like animation, or well, it started little and then got bigger. This animation based on the Blitz mode for Halo Wars 2, where I used the what do you call those? The battlescapes.
Yeah,
that was like my first time trying to do like integrating an actual like physical location with a green screen. As opposed to like when I did Double Edge, that was all blue screen, except for like times like when they were fighting on the car, or I'm trying to think other time, or when they were fighting around the crates. That was a little pain, just because I had to basically make it so that the crates would line up with there's like a console in one of like the bases. I think it's like one of the score zones in there, where there's like there's not a lift, but you can actually, there's a garage underneath, and you can actually go up top, and that's where I think like the flag capture point is. But there's like these computer consoles there, and I needed to line up the crates because that's where they had stashed some of the weapon crates as well as the nuke. But the problem is like it also meant that I couldn't really move. If I was going to move the camera, I needed to move the green screen foot, or I needed to. I would go into Halo 4 and do like record. This was before the idea of like Xbox Record, so I actually had to plug that thing into my computer and then be able to record me like flying around in theater mode for sequences.
There's no game clip or anything like that.
Yeah. We'll talk about things you take for granted now.
Yeah, really.
So just going through that was also having like all the footage piling up, like all the clips and whatnot piling up on my computer, because I will have like my animation file or my animation footage in sort of like one giant file, and I don't know if it's something to do with iStop motion or whatever, but for some reason that that file gets like freaking huge the longer it goes on.
Yeah.
And it's just hogging space on my laptop.
Yeah,
Like the
I'm
Doom
sure, Matt,
project
you'd agree
is
it's
just...
like our edits for these sometimes. They just go...
Yeah. Like the
Matt's
Doom
having
project, that is
flashbacks.
a storage hog right now. And it's like, I need to finish it. I have come too far and worked too hard on this thing to just basically go, okay, I'm not feeling it anymore.
Yeah. Mac
Remind me
memory's
to
weird.
talk to you... Yeah. I was going to say, remind me to talk to you after this about the time I had to put together a 12-hour pre-recorded live stream for work.
Oh god, I can't even
that
imagine
sounds terrible.
how
I'm
much
out.
space that has to be.
I was like, oh, it's going to be an easy process. It wasn't. Don't suggest things to people if you don't want to do them in the end. That's my advice. So I was going to ask you about the most challenging part of working with green screen, but it sounds like the whole thing's a challenge in comparison.
The whole thing.
I feel like
Yeah.
I can do it a lot better now. I mean,
Okay.
I know I've got for my Doom project, I've just got the skyline as a green screen as opposed to like the environment, which is kind of how it should really be. I mean, it depends on really like on like the quality of your camera, as well as like the more grainy the footage looks, the harder it's going to be. But like with photography, like I've seen some pretty great stuff come from like, you know, what people can do in Photoshop and all that jazz.
Nice.
Photoshop
Yeah,
and or
definitely.
like free programs. I'm trying. I know Red Spartan. He doesn't do green screen, but like his photography stuff is just like top notch.
Yeah,
He does all the visors, doesn't he?
Yeah,
with,
he
like,
edits.
the vibrant effects
He
on
edits
them.
the visors
Yeah.
and the swords and the lights and stuff. But he uses a lot of practical. He uses like tiny fireworks,
Yeah.
and he blows stuff up.
So we were going to touch on equipment briefly as well, but I feel like actually throughout the conversation, naturally, you've spoke about quite a bit of the equipment that you use.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to know, like my equipment has been very like kind of maybe not static, but like I very much like will use things until the wheels fall off, or I eventually through technology, not like say I'm on 06 of Adobe Premiere and After Effects right now, or
Okay,
no,
cool.
is it CS6? I think.
Let me
Whatever
scroll
the
down
one
and
is,
check quickly.
whatever the one is before Creative Cloud, which
Oh,
I know I'm
okay.
gonna need to. I know I'm gonna need to upgrade to that eventually, because like that's where all like the Red Giant stuff is and all that jazz.
Yeah.
But if
And
it works
who
for
knows?
you, you know, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get that. Yeah, cool. Do you use any specific lighting equipment or anything like that for your videos as well?
Just desk lamps, really.
Cool. Okay.
Or desk lamps, or I even have like this big, big. I haven't really used it, and it's actually been a pain in the ass to try to like crop it out of like sky shots. But I had this like big fluorescent tube tank lamp that I used to have for a while. Like, you know, the big like light fixture. Well, not light fixture, but you know what I mean. Big fluorescent tubes.
Yeah.
I would use that on occasion. The tricky thing is with like green screen, you need to have like one light on the side, one light on one side, one light on the other side, and then one on back to try to separate it from the green screen. But also you need to make sure that the green screen is lit as well.
Yeah, that's where I've gone wrong.
Have you ever tried using like a ring light?
I need to get my hands on one of those.
I would definitely
Yeah,
do that.
Amazon sells them pretty cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
so-
right on mine.
I know I need to upgrade a lot of things.
Lighting has always been tricky for me. It's one of those things that you kind of have to play with until it.
Yeah.
Even if you have the right
Yeah.
lights,
I mean, it's a learning process.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's tricky.
and also be able to have like need to be able to like put it just close enough, but also far away so that like I'm not bumping it or anything.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we've just really got a couple of little questions left before we get into rounding out. What I'm gonna ask you, probably every stop motion creator's nightmare. Roughly how many frames do you have to shoot for a video to get it so smooth?
That one's actually, like, it really is sort of like something I kind of feel out, but like when it comes down to frame rate, I've been, like, for the longest time I was doing like 15 frames per second, and then shooting on ones, which is like one picture, one, I think it's, it's 15 frames per second. So like one picture per like real, like basic miniature movement. Yeah. But I ended up kind of going up into 24 frames, and I would do like what they call shooting on twos, where you take two pictures for basic movement, and if you want to speed it up, if you want to have like some sped up stuff like for the pullback and then the punch, you would shoot just one, or you'd shoot on ones. But like depends on the project on how long something can get. I honestly like, I know I've taken pictures of like, this has this many frames between this project, but I don't really like keep track of like how many frames it will go into like a time, or what kind of time of a project.
So I'll say that with my stop motion, lately, back earlier it wasn't as much, but lately I've been saying, I'd say probably about 1,000 pictures gets you about 45 seconds.
Okay.
At least if maybe a little less, but if you want it to be smooth, you want it to actually look like each things, and as you were saying, like, it depends on the action. Obviously, if someone's jumping, it needs to look faster than if someone's walking. If someone's falling, it needs to look faster. There's that moment where you don't want the swing of a sword to look, the pullback of a sword look to as fast as the swing, because obviously those shifts in motion are what are changing. But roughly, I would say there's quite a bit of pictures in just a couple seconds. I just released, I think it was like, not including like the credits, it was like maybe 15, 16 seconds, and it was about 500 pictures. And that was with my Mandalorian versus Ahsoka. So as you speed it up, I'll say speed covers a multitude of sins, because it's going by so fast. A lot of it is, and sound also kind of pulls it together.
Oh yeah, the better the sound you get. Like, I think it was, I don't know who Tom Scott was quoting, but there was a quote he said a while back of your ears are a lot quicker to be offended than your eyes.
Yeah.
Because like, if you hear like, if somebody uses like a generic sound effect, like
Wilhelm scream.
Yeah,
that can be charming, but other times, but like, if I don't know, you hear stereotypical whack whack sound, like Looney Tunes as whack sounds. When somebody's doing a fight scene, it's like, okay, you got
those pow biffs and whams.
If you were going for comedy, you got it.
Yeah, right.
Pow.
Yep.
These days, I've been like more hypercritical whenever I'm doing shots. So like, I'm rarely, like, early on when I was doing things like, busting out something a week or whatnot, it was sort of like okay, this works. I might do like another take on this shot. If it didn't, if like something screwed up, a part fell off, whatever, I'll do another shot. But these days it's like, okay, like I was trying to do a couple of days ago, a brute lifting his hammer and slamming it down on the ground, and I'm just thinking like, okay, I really don't like how fast he did it. I don't like how you don't see like the heft. Like, I noticed like, if you have him up here, it didn't look that good, but if you have him up here, it looks a little like he's bringing it down heavier. So these days I'm a lot more critical about whenever I'm like animating and like thinking, okay, that doesn't look good. So I'll post up on online and whatnot, or on my like Instagram or Twitter or whatnot. It's like, okay, spent like 3 hours working on this. I'm not sure if it's working out.
I mean, with being more critical of like, the animation process, do you find that you feel better about the work after it's finished?
Kinda. I mean, it's a sort of. I'm always going to be like basically going like, oh, this could look so much better.
Oh, that's
or,
the life
"There
of an
have been-"
artist. Yeah, I mean,
Right,
any
right.
any form, yeah,
Yeah.
you're always gonna say I could do better, but
There have been like a couple of times where I'm looking at my Doom project, which I started, well, definitely last year, and thinking like, in all this time that I've been working on it and the time that it's been put aside, I'm like thinking, oh God, does this even look good anymore?
Right. Yep.
And I
You've
can't
seen
really-
it over and over. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's sort of like, well, when you go to like art school and whatnot, you're like the artist or the teachers are going to be like beyond critical of your work because they want to, because there's like 600 people behind you that also want that position you want, so you better have a good portfolio, which is why I've never gone to animation school.
Well, you may not have gone to animation school, but at least we get to enjoy your work on your YouTube channel.
This is
And that's
very
what
true.
counts,
Absolutely.
Joe.
Yeah, man.
There's a great quote that I've been hearing on TikTok of all places. It's a Robin Williams quote. I can't remember what it's from, but it's like, I don't know how much value I had in this universe, but at least I know that I made some people happy, and that's pretty good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. That's
I like
classic
that.
Robin Williams. Nice.
I think that's a nice note to end on. So, I'm going to ask you, what's next for Gun Nut Productions? Where should people keep their eyes peeled to see what's coming next?
Most of the stuff I like to post stuff if I find like good stuff, or if I'm animating, I like to post stuff on my Instagram. I don't like just like posting up unfinished stuff on YouTube. It just kind of feels like I don't want to treat my channel like a dumping ground, but my Instagram is.
yeah, that's fine.
So like if it isn't posted up on my Instagram, it's usually like in my stories, like of something I've been working on. I actually did like a little I have like an entire like story section on Instagram of like me kind of going through like latest projects. So like Warframe Regeneration, I have like the various animation I had shot at the time, and just like recording like previews of it off my computer and just like posting that onto my Instagram story. So that's a good place. Twitter, I do stuff on occasion there. I'll post stuff up on there as well.
Cool. Okay, so we'll make sure that we link everywhere you've mentioned below, Joe, and if there's anywhere that you've missed, then we'll link there as well, so that's cool.
Sure.
So
try to figure out who that guy who does the Iron Man and Spider-Man stop motion is. But
cool. Yeah, that'd be really useful. Wicked. So yeah, as you'll notice, there's now 4 of us. Colin has had to disappear. The unfortunates of being a Spartan with a family means that he has been sent on active deployment. So it's just us rounding out, unfortunately.
Nicely done.
We're going to do some quick community shout-outs. I've got 3 to mention. Did anyone else have anything they wanted to do shout-out-wise on the community front?
I'm just going to shout out Photon, because that guy continues to be awesome. So thank you, Photon.
Beautiful. Joe, you had your hand up?
I'd like to shout out 2 people. Well, okay, maybe 3 people. One is Charlie Rose.
Absolutely.
Mootroid Productions. I see his name all the time.
Mootroid
but I
X
just know him as
Productions on
Charlie.
YouTube. Yeah.
But his
Savage.
animation with I think he called it Swolachew versus Godzilla. That thing is
I
like,
see that one,
if I were to crack your head open, what would fall out? I think it would basically be that. And also, I don't know. I think that's his name right now is Canadian White Wolf, but Jim. I think he goes I don't know if it's official yet, but I think he goes by like Jim Phoenix with an F.
Okay.
On Instagram. He's the guy he's my friend who I met at Fan Expo, and then later we quite literally met on the Frontline Troopers Facebook page, and we kind of like just hit it off from there, and we're like, hey man, do you want to meet up? And we've been friends ever since, and he's again, he's the reference, or he is like the real life Jay Spartan from Double Edge. So I want to shout him out, as well as his fiance Nico Bits. She does these amazing digital paintings, and she's got like this great one of Chief and Cortana for Halo 4's anniversary. Halo Cannon shouted her out a while back.
Mr. Customs, you always have a shout out for us.
I'd actually like
in a
to.
British accent.
I'd like to shout out one of my friends, Redline Constructs. He's on Instagram. He's
Yes.
a really
Yeah.
good friend of mine. We play Xbox almost every weekend together, but he's got some super cool work. He and I have collaborated on a lot of figures, and I've helped him out a lot to get him into the community a little bit more. But he really does make like super unique stuff. He's got a Twitter as well, so if you don't follow him already, maybe go take a look and see if that's something you're interested in. But it's redline_constructs.
For real,
Yeah.
you guys put me to shame. I am in awe to
Come on, man.
you guys. Like, you really like, mine are my stuff is like, you know, my style. Through in spite of itself. But you guys do like stuff that I would damn near say looks official.
I appreciate
It's
it.
all different styles. and
I mean,
it's all
yeah,
that's the beauty of an online community.
That is the
Yeah.
thing, is that everybody says, "Oh my gosh, you're the best." And it's like, well, there's no best. It's all subjective. If you like it, then whoever you like is the best. I mean, as long as more people are doing it and everybody's enjoying it, I'm happy enough with that. And I
love how you were fully looking in the camera as you said that as well. That was quite intimidating.
I appreciate
Speaking to you, the audience.
you, the audience. I appreciate that you like my work as
Those
well.
are good words, though.
But
Yeah.
I remember the first time talking to you, Joe. Like, it was like back in 2018, I think, on Instagram. You had responded to one of my stories, and you were like, "Oh, hey, this looks super cool." And I was like, "That's the guy!" I couldn't believe
Oh my
it.
god, I am the guy.
I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know you were on Instagram, and you said, "Oh, this is super cool, dude." And I was like, "Oh my god!"
Instagram is an amazing platform, because it's like, you don't
Absolutely.
all you need to do is just put in the hashtags, and you don't need to do like for real. If I was just still doing like the posting stuff on Mega Bloks' Facebook page, or this was before
the
we did,
Facebook
like, the Mega
groups.
Construct groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with Twitter, you're basically just kind of throwing stuff into the void and hoping sooner or later somebody will find it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like,
I
you're
feel that.
on Instagram, it's like, okay, I'm gonna personally mail this to whoever's looking.
Yeah.
So
Well, on the subject of Instagram, actually, so I've got 3 shout-outs,
Yep.
and the first one is for somebody who goes by @DatLegoMan on Instagram,
Dat
also
Lego
in
Man.
the Podcast Evolved Discord. They experimented with adding magnets to a Halo Infinite Master Chief, so he can have a sidekick magnetically mounted on his thigh and an assault rifle on his back magnetically. And they've also just done the same with an Elite Combat, so they can have a custom sculpted energy sword hilt magnetically attached to their hip.
I'll have to check that out. That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
Oh,
some
that
cool
sounds
stuff
good.
there.
That's badass.
We'll have some photos stitched in here.
Wow.
Then next up, I wanted to shout out Human Ultra on the MCX forums, who posted a couple of cool pictures of a red EVA Spartan from Mega Constructs with nice lighting and dynamic poses. Being a photographer, that kind of stuff always catches my eye, so I wanted to mention it. And then lastly, Spartan Kale, aka at Rings of Sankhelios on Instagram, who posted a picture featuring our Podcast Evolved merchandise alongside their recent haul of the San Diego Comic-Con Master Chief set. It's awesome to see someone so supportive of our show, so thank you for sharing with your audience
you.
and for listening,
Yeah, really,
as we
thank
really
you.
appreciate it. So, with all of that said, we have had a mammoth episode, so Matt's going to be very happy with this one. So I think that will do it for the show. So
I look forward
thank you
to
for
sharing this around and cringing like hell listening to myself talk.
it's all good.
It's not a lot
With
of fun.
all of that said, thank you for joining Builds with Blocks. If you like the show, feel free to support Podcast Evolved on Patreon. And until the next time, Evolved.
Evolved.
Evolved.